Hey, welcome back to Open Hand Farm. My name is Penny, and this is my final week of the Three Rivers Challenge. So if you don't know what that is, you can search the hashtag and see all kinds of videos of people who have lived through the month of January without spending money at the grocery store, or at least trying to. I will let you know how much I spent this much at the end of this video. So let me show you what we ate the final week of the 2025 Pantry Challenge. Sunday started with us at church at a meeting, so we had pizza served to us there. So when we came home, it was later in the day, and we were still full from pizza, so we really didn't eat dinner. But I knew that I had a friend come over the next morning, and I wanted to make some bread. So I made a loaf of regular sandwich bread, but I also rolled some of it out to be cinnamon bread. So I went ahead and got that all ready and rolled it up, got them in their pans, and I let them set for about 30 minutes. Then I scored them and put them in the oven. When they came out, they were beautifully golden. I've said that I like using paper in my pans, and you see how easy it is to pull that loaf out. Now these are a softer dough for like a sandwich bread, and the crust on them was really nice, not too hard, but I did butter them because I like a softer crust for sandwich bread, and that just makes it a little bit more enjoyable. When I sliced the cinnamon bread, it looked like this inside. Monday started with yet another bagel. I just love these, you guys, and since I've been sick, it's just so easy. They've just grown on me. I love them. This one, I went ahead and put some of the cheese on it, as well as pea sprouts. Like always, it was delicious. I decided to make chili for dinner, so I just browned some ground beef I had in the freezer. I added some of my home canned chili beans, home canned tomato sauce. I just stirred that all together, put a little water in it, and then it was time for seasoning. We really like the McCormick chili seasoning. It's not just chili powder, it's other things like cumin, stuff like that. So we use that. And then I always add just a touch of sweet. My family really likes that. So I use molasses. And I just use a regular molasses, not a dark, and it gives it a nice sweet flavor without being overly sweet. So I just stir that up and let it simmer. And once we're ready to eat, it's ready for us. We like to add toppings to our chili. I like sour cream. Nobody else does. So I add sour cream to mine, add some shredded cheddar cheese, as well as some tortilla chips, all crunched up, and it's ready to go. So on day 3, again, I had another bagel for breakfast, this time with sunflower sprouts on it. I was kind of having a relapse by now because I had done so much, so I just grabbed another bagel for lunch with some cheese slices and some of the chips that I really like. And for dinner, we had leftover beef tacos, only it was on nachos. And that was just so easy, but so good and filling. I know you're getting tired of hearing this. I had a bagel for breakfast with arugula sprouts. For lunch, Mark was at school, so I had leftover chili. Then I needed to make some cookies for my upcoming ladies' Bible study tomorrow night. So I decided to make some simple shortbread. You take 2 cups of butter, which is 4 sticks, and yes, I know that's a lot. You add 1 cup of powdered sugar, but I use a very fine ground maple sugar, and I had just about a cup left in that jar, so I just poured it in. Then it is 3 cups of flour, and those are the only ingredients you need in these cookies. And they are the best cookies ever. You just mix those three ingredients up, and when it forms a dough, you take the dough and make a ball out of it, and then you roll it into a log. You roll it as thick or thin as you want. I do mine at about 2.5 inches, and then I roll it in saran wrap and put it in the fridge. And that way later I can just slice them and bake them. I found the sourdough crust in my freezer from August of 23, and I decided to go ahead and use it. I didn't lay it out soon enough, and so it was a little hard. So I decided to make my quiche filling first. Now we're using eggs that we water glassed in August. So these are fresh, shelf-stable eggs. And I have a video that tells how to do this. I'll leave a card here and a link in the description box. You can only do this with fresh eggs. You cannot do it with store-bought eggs. So you take them out of the lime water and then you rinse them off. After they're rinsed off, they are just like a normal fresh egg. So I went ahead and broke up 4 of them. Look how beautiful that is. So I broke up 4 of them and added them to the bowl to use to make our quiche. Then I beat them and added 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Then I gave that a mix before I started adding my more solid items. I added a cup of shredded cheese, measured exactly as you can tell. Earlier, while I was making cookies, I cooked a pound of sausage and I put half of that in the bowl. I also had this kale from 23 in the freezer, and I just squeezed all the water out of it. And then I broke it up and put it in this mixture as well. Then I just mixed it all together and decided to go back to the pie crust. It was softer. I was able to go ahead and roll it, but it felt great. You know, for the age that it was and how long it had been in the freezer, it was soft, it was pliable, it was very nice. So I just kept making it bigger to go in my pie plate, and when I thought it was big enough, I folded the floured sides together and laid them in my pie plate and unfolded them and just started making it fit into the pan. I fold under my crust edges. I don't want to cut them off and get rid of them. So I just fold them under, and then I just use my fingers to form a crimping style all the way around it. And when that was done, I added the filling. After pouring it in, I took a spoon and just made sure all the solid parts were spread around evenly. And then I added a silicone guard over the crust so that it wouldn't burn. Put it in the oven. While it was baking, I went down and got some pickled beets. I had a few left, but I think I was going to need a new jar. The quiche came out beautifully. The crust was good. It was tender and flaky. I couldn't believe it was so good. After dinner, I got my log of dough out of the fridge and I started slicing it up to use for cookies. I always cut the very end off just to kind of even up the end of it so that I have a nice clean edge to start with. I do them about 1/4 of an inch. And after I got some slice, I went ahead and put them on the pan. And I decided that since it was Valentine's Day coming up, I would go ahead and just press a little heart-shaped cookie cutter into the middle of the cookie. Nothing fancy, but it just kind of dressed it up. And you could add sugar on top. I have chosen not to do that because I like them just like this. And the ladies love them. They came out when they were slightly golden brown. They're still soft when you take them off the pan, but as they cool, they become crunchy and they just melt in your mouth. So I had leftover quiche for breakfast, and then for lunch I had a bagel with yogurt and granola. And then for dinner, I was feeding my ladies' Bible study as well. So something I have a lot of is sweet potatoes. So I decided to do a sweet potato nacho. I peeled the sweet potatoes and then I just chopped them into 1/2 inch pieces. I wanted them to cook quickly, so I cut them small. After they were all chopped up, I added some oil. I used avocado because I wanted a light flavor. I didn't want it to overwhelm it. Then I added some cumin as well as some chili powder. And I just wanted to give them more of a Southwest taste. So these did the trick. I added some salt and stirred them all up. And after they were completely covered and ready to go, I put half of them in one large cookie sheet and half of them in another. That way I could spread them out pretty thin. They cooked in about 20-25 minutes. So it was perfect timing for the ladies to get there, and they were warm. I did not get a video of us putting the nachos together. I am so sorry, but don't worry, you'll see how we did it soon. Today, I had ladies over to work on Bible study this morning, and they ate the quiche, and I ate bagel with yogurt again. I didn't eat lunch because I had such a big breakfast. So for dinner, Mark and I are having leftover sweet potato nachos. So I decided to kind of brown the potatoes a little bit more in a skillet, and that just gave them a little bit more of a crunch. I really liked that. I just divided them between 2 plates. I decided to add some cheddar cheese and then some of the taco meat. And on top of that, I added some chipotle Tabasco, which I love. And then to top it off, some of the melted queso. And that just kind of helped glue it all together. And then, of course, on top of mine, I added arugula sprouts. Thank you all so much for coming along on this challenge through the month of January. I will not be videoing this challenge through the month of February, but my next video will explain that to you. But we will continue to eat from our pantry, probably even through March. We still have so much food available to us. Do you hear my dog? I'll show you. Just a minute, girl, I'm almost done. Let me tell you what we bought and how much we spent through the month of January. My grandchildren love bananas, and I put bananas in my overnight oats, as you've seen in the first couple of weeks of this challenge. So twice we bought bananas. So that was about $6.50. And we also bought some cilantro for 99 cents. So we spent a total of $7.50 through the month of January for our grocery bill. And I feel really good about that. I would have liked to have said we spent $0, but I can't store bananas. I can't grow bananas. So that was one thing that we just really needed to get. So thanks a lot for coming along through this month. And I hope that I have been able to encourage you to work towards making your pantry a better supply for next year. And if you haven't ever done this challenge, I challenge you to try it next year. Of course, you need to start getting ready, so it's never too soon to do that. Thanks again, and until next time, blessings on you and yours.